When Manipur was burning, do you believe our actions were enough to tackle the situation? People were unemployed, businesses were quitting, houses were burning, people were dying, women were being raped.
The only blame was why Narendra Modi did not speak, but every minister of Narendra Modi was speaking. UP was a politics of nepotism, right? Mulayam Singh Yadav, then his family has almost 40 politicians at one point.
So tell me, how did a monk go on to become such a revolutionary leader? While on one side BJP blames other parties for freebies, in 2017 I remember, when Yogi Ji became the chief minister, the first thing he did is give away 37,000 crores worth of loan waivers.
Which was the election promise also.
Yeah. When the state is in such heavy debt and you said that the system was broken, why give away 37,000 crores worth of loan waivers? Ram ke naam pe vote ya kaam ke naam pe vote? What does that mean? And can you give me an insight on how does a voter fundamentally think? In 2024, and this is 3-4 years after COVID, our unemployment rate stands at 6.57%. How do you fix this problem?
Entity politics is easier politics, right? Governance politics is tougher politics. कोई काम करना पड़ता है भाई.
Why did Make in India fail?
I'm saying I'm not agreeing to that Make in India is failing.
Okay, you don't agree?
Yeah, I
Make in
don't
India
agree to
failed?
Make in India failing.
I want you to set the premise of the podcast to help the audience understand what is the importance of politics in business.
Politics in business. Yeah.
Because I constantly try to educate my audience about why politics is an integral part of business.
Yeah.
Usually in MBA schools, politics is not taught as an important subject of business. Whereas, and that is the reason why most people tell me that, Ganesh, you know what, please just make business case studies. Don't venture into political case studies because they see it as dirty politics.
Dirty politics.
So as a political analyst,
Yeah.
can you tell me why is politics important for business?
Yeah.
With examples.
See, business, Ganesh, exists in an ecosystem, right? You have some resources, you create some product or service, you sell to someone, you take money, right? And then you are bound by multiple regulation. And who forms this regulation? Some government. It might be a municipal government or a state government or a central government or at some global order, right? So every business is existing in a government environment, in an ecosystem where government is the MyBap in most of the cases, or government's engagement, the ratio and the weightage of the government engagement can vary, right? If you're in the construction business, let's say, you are like very heavily dependent on the government, right?
Correct.
What is the cost of the commodities is decided, not decided, at least influenced by the government, right? You have to get your mapped pies by the government, right? So there, from multiple unicorns these days have a policy team, which is nothing but mapping which government is coming, which government is pro which policy, and what is the government next policy which will affect my space, be it a Dream 11 or a Zomato. Zomato has to deal with the FSI license, the food licenses, right? And a Dream 11 will deal with, like, is this a game of chance or a game of skill? And there'll be a lot of court cases, and what is the positioning of the government in there? Ola, Uber have to decide it is an aggregator app or what is a taxi? Like, can app is a taxi or a physical entity is a taxi, right? So, and a Google and a Facebook or Instagram has to say who will decide that which content can go and who is the holder of the content. You as a content creator has a responsibility of the content, or the platform has a responsibility of the content. If something goes bad, if your content can create a riot in the public, right? Are you responsible or Facebook responsible, or you share a shared responsibility, right? So invariably government is involved.
You know, I often tell people that whenever the budget announcement happens, you should have a look at the biggest business leaders in the country. A lot of people might not have met such business leaders, but I have. And during the budget, if you call them, they'll say, I'll call you in the evening. I'm watching the budget.
I'm watching the budget.
And there's an entire team of analysts who constantly try and map as to how the announcement of the budget is going to affect them. And this is very easily reflected on the stock market also. The moment Gadkari ji went bullish on ethanol, sugar stocks went up. Now Modi ji announced rooftop solar, and there is a
Can you imagine?
There's a large segment of
1
companies.
crore rooftop solar houses.
Yeah.
To government buying, right?
So 1 crore rooftop solar, which means a large segment of companies will benefit, because of which their stocks will eventually go up. So when you give them this association of politics and stocks, then they're very deeply interested, because now they know that, you know, my money is going to double if I invest the right way. But they also
I'll give you a very interesting simple example, because we're shooting this in Mumbai, right? We used to hear कि movies में दाऊद का पैसा लगता है. Remember that old
Yeah.
saying? और काला पैसा लगता है. That black money is heavily invested. This is a 20-year thing. You know, and that has a structural problem with the government policy because film was not industry. And if film is not industry, you can't write contracts.
Film was not an industry.
Film was not industry 20 years back. Credit goes to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Film was not an industry formally.
What are you saying?
Right? Yeah, film was not an industry. Right? So if film not an industry, you can write a contract which is honored in the court of law because you are not an industry. I can't invest in you. I can't take an insurance instrument because insurance instrument are only applicable on X number of industries. Right? But film was not industry. As soon as film become industry, a formal reliance can become a big banner. Right? And a formal money started coming. And as formal money started coming, this Daud money I'm sure still the Daud money might be coming, but that become a fraction of the whole Bollywood, right? Versus which was a major portion of the Bollywood. So how a policy like putting film into the status of giving films or the entertainment industry, the status of an industry makes it very formal and very regularized and a lot of new money can come in.
That is crazy. Shantanuji, tell me something. You wrote this book, How a Monk Became the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh.
Yep.
How did a monk become the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh? Because it is a story that is quite fascinating. And when I started to study Yogi Ji's life, like if you go by his background, and in fact, by the way, I also read in your book that even he was surprised that he became the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. So tell me, how did a monk go on to become such a revolutionary leader?
See, before this monk became the chief minister in 2017, he was already a politician, a member of parliament, nothing less than a member of parliament for the previous 19 years, right? He becoming the chief minister, why he was chosen chief minister, you have to call Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah that what went in their mind, right? But being an analyst, I can read their mind. I can say what might be the conjecture, what might have happened in their mind, right?
Okay.
But again, he was not a new politician, right? Maybe he was away from the camera lens or he was in some camera lenses, right? As a Mahant politician, a member of parliament for 5 times from Gorakhpur constituency. So he became a politician in 1998.
1998, which is 26 years back.
Yeah, so he became, and he was only 26, right? In fact, there is a very famous video when he's 26 and he's taking an oath in Sanskrit. He's like lean and putting like a bhagwa pagdi, and he's taking an oath in the parliament in Sanskrit. That video is getting viral these days, right? In 1994, he became the Mahant. So from a pant shirt wearing, from a goggle wearing, from a bandana wearing, school going boy of 90s, right? He became a sannyasi in 1994 all of a sudden. So first is that transition. So he, his guru Mahant Adityanath kind of passed on his spiritual baton to him in 1994. And in 1998, when Advani ji came to Mahant Adityanath that, okay, the elections are coming and you have to get this Gorakhpur seat for us. He said, Mahant Adityanath said, we will get a Gorakhpur seat for you for sure, but this time I will not contest, Yogi Adityanath will contest. So he passed on his political baton to him. And then he became a member of parliament in 1998. And that time, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the prime minister. So who are the coaches of Yogi Adityanath? Kinds of Atal Bihari Vajpayees and the Advanis and the Sushma Swaraj and Mahajan, Pramod Mahajan, Venkaiah Naidu. He was like kind of getting tutored and mentored through them. And he has a guru who is a politician himself. So Mahant Adityanath was a member of parliament for multiple times. So this was like a tutoring that happening for constantly for Yogi Adityanath. And then he wins another election in 1999, another election in 2004, another election in 2009, another election in 2014. And 2 elections are very important in 2004 and 2009. Why? Because BJP is doing miserably bad.
Yeah,
in 2004,
that's what I was wondering.
But he's winning he's becoming so popular in his own area when my party is not winning. See, winning in 2014 or 19 election is no big deal.
True.
And Modi says also, mujhe parliament mein, you want to make me a prime minister, then elect this person, whoever this person. Log kehte hain, patthar bhi khada kar do to jeet jayega, right? So winning a 14 and 19 election is not a brilliant thing, but winning a 2004 and 2009 election is a brilliant thing.
So how did he win it? What was so special about Yogi Ji?
So there are multiple things. One is the lineage of the mutt, right? But his margins were shrinking in the starting. Then he understood the area and he started increasing the influence of the mutt from the spiritual realm to the social realm.
Can you throw some light on that?
Yeah. So mutt is a spiritual thing. You come there to pray. So there is a lot of influence.
For the international audience, let's first help them understand what is a mutt.
So mutt is a physical structure of a religious sect, right? You can make a parallel to it of the church, right? But when a mutt is also a concept, right? So let's say a Protestant church, or a Catholic church, or an Orthodox church, right? So Hinduism has multiple sects. So this sect is called Gorakhnath Parampara or a Nath Parampara.
Okay.
And they have their own meditation techniques, their own prayer techniques, their how they deal with their disciples.
Almost like a school.
Or like a school. From that spiritual realm, Yogi Adityanath, the mutt was already doing. They said, I will also transgress that into a social realm. So I will start maybe Hindus had a problem of caste, that the differentiation between caste. So he started something called a khichdi bhoj. So every Basant Panchami, lakhs and lakhs of people will come and do a khichdi bhoj. Who is cooking it? No one knows. Who is serving it? No one knows. And who is eating? No one knows. Meaning, the people of every caste and even religion came and had, and lakhs of people had khichdi together. Because I'm sure you understand, in the caste, the two differentiation is, हम बोलते हैं बेटी रोटी का रिश्ता नहीं है. मतलब, I will not eat food with you, I will not give my girl, I will not marry in your house, right? So these are two fundamental difference. When I say caste differentiation, these are two fundamental differentiation, that I will not eat food with you, or the food cooked by you, the food served by you, if you are a lower caste or upper caste, whatever the combination, and I will not marry my daughter in your family. The marriage relationship will not happen. So he broke the first boundary, that I am ready to eat food with anyone. I'm agnostic of who is sitting next to me, who's cooking the food, who's serving the food, right? Which is a fundamental change in that part of the
Was that also something that the mutt also stood by?
The mutt stood by, and he made sure the mutt stood by.
Earlier, the mutt did not.
Mutt was doing like flirting with the idea, but he institutionalized that idea, right? And then he made it then his people told that everybody cannot come to the mutt. Though lakhs and lakhs of people are coming, but lakhs and lakhs of people are not everyone, right? Then he started doing these khichdi bhoj, and khichdi bhoj only used to happen in some festival days, right? I was like, I will do it in villages. So declare tomorrow in, let's say, X village, that Yogi Adityanath will come, the khichdi bhoj will happen. And you will prepare the khichdi. Because you have to crowdsource the money also, right? Preparing so much khichdi also needs money. So that village is super excited that Yogi Adityanath is a brand by now. He was called Naika Baba. Naika Baba is a new Baba. Naika is new in Purvanchal. Or a Chutka Baba. Or a Chote Mahant, right? Because the Bada Mahant is still surviving, right? He only died in 2014, right? So the Chota Baba is coming, right? He had a charm around it, right? He used to, still in that Bhagwa, he used to sport a goggle, right?
Okay.
So he had like mannerism. He used to travel in a red sumo. If you remember, Tata Sumo was like quite a fancy car those days, right? In a Tata Sumo, a red color Tata Sumo, a Chotka Baba is coming with a goggle, and he's like a modern education trained. He did his BSc, MSc. He did not get the MSc degree because he dropped out and went to become the sannyasi, and he is trained in the Vedic parampara also. So, and he's only like 25, 26, right? So he's quite an intriguing personality, but everyone to have a sight at.
So this is almost like a campaign to break the stereotype.
Kind of.
That is something that resonated with the people a lot.
He was becoming a cult. And now he's so available that he's going village after village and he's sitting with everyone. The people who nobody was talking to, who nobody was giving heed to. He was from a lower caste, this caste, this caste. A cult, a hero, a kind of brand is coming to traveling to their village and eating food with them. And they are eating the food prepared by them. Eating the food sitting next by them. And he's not doing this one village or two villages. He's going with multiple villages every day. So in a span of 20 years, he in fact saturated Gorakhpur and he started going to other districts. That's why people say he has an influence on the whole of Eastern UP and also parts of Bihar and also parts of Nepal.
All this while, the BJP was not doing well all across India.
BJP was doing patchy. Sometime good, sometime and not very good exactly in that part of the country, that part of Uttar Pradesh, right? So this is the building years of Yogi Adityanath, right? And because of all of this, right, when 2017 comes, and he was a star pracharak of BJP more or less every time, right? Like he was traveling for any elections that happening, right? And when 2017 comes, right, and this was the first election after Notbandi. Notbandi happened in the December of 2016. This was the first major election. And a lot of people say, no, BJP will do very poor. And BJP won with a thumping majority with 300 plus seats in a 404 assembly. And the biggest question, I was in the TV studio then, the biggest question was, after this thumping victory, who will be the chief minister? because BJP has a lot of leaders, and a typical political commentary will tell that the politics of UP is a OBC Dalit politics, right? OBC politics by the Mulayam Singh Yadav party and Dalit politics by Mayawati's party.
Can you explain this a little bit? Because this is something that I've read about very deeply. So let's throw some light on that.
See, Ganesh, Congress invented a very lazy politics in this country. While I call this lazy politics, don't work too much, right? Because working very efficiently and effectively is a very hard work, right? It's not an easy work. So play on identities. What identities? Tell Muslims that Hindus are against you, scare them, right? And I'm your Masiha, so vote for me, right? So try to take their vote en bloc and keep doing some appeasement for them. Send them to Hajj Yatra, put some Sachar committee report, so put some places of worship act which can help them culturally, right? If court rules against the mullahs in Shabano case, you bring a law. Rajiv Gandhi brings a law in favor of mullahs against the court, just so that Shabano should not get 300 rupees in alimony after divorce, after talaq, right? So appease the mullahs, get their votes and block. This is one part. And don't allow Hindus to feel like Hindus, right? Make them feel like a Brahman or Kshatriyas or Dalit and OBC, and just catch one category, combine with Muslims, and just create a block of 29-30% vote share, which is a very formidable vote share in a first past the poll system. In the first past the poll system, you don't need 50% vote. That you need in a presidential system, US, right? You just need 29-30% vote and you form a government. And this technique they taught to every regional party also. To a Samajwadi party or a BSP or a Mamta Banerjee, any fallout of Congress, right? Or a RLD, Lalu Prasad party. So let's say how it translated for Mulayam Singh Yadav, that I'll get a Muslim vote by maybe shooting at Ram Bhakts in Ayodhya. I'll get this Muslim vote, and I'll take one or two communities. In his case, were Yadavs. So I'll give whenever I'll become a chief minister, I'll give all the jobs to Yadavs and police bhartis to Yadavs. I'll give the petrol pumps to Yadav. I'll give them incentives to create dhabas on the roads, right? I'll give them all the contracts. So MY is a formidable combination for me, Muslim and Yadav. For Mayawati, it's translated as meme beam. So I come from a Dalit community, Mayawati. So I will cater to Jatavs, and that too not the whole Dalit community. One sect of Dalit community from which I come from, Jatavs, right? I'll cater to Jatavs. I'll try to give all my schemes to Jatavs, and I'll try to pander to Muslim the same way Mulayam did. So with meme combination, I'll form the government.
What you're basically describing is social engineering.
It's social engineering, exactly.
Which is look for a particular segment of the audience which will give you maximum vote share, identify a common pain point, cater to that particular pain point, keep them extremely happy, and then they'll vote for you. So this is the vote bank politics that we often talk about.
Which we normally call the vote bank politics,
Okay.
Right? Create a combination, and in first pass the poll system, it works easily because you hardly need 25, 29. So whenever a Mayawati formed a government, she must have got like 29% vote bank or vote share, or Akhilesh 39% vote share. So this was the typical politics.
Okay. So how did Yogi ji change this? Because now this is like playing by the numbers, right? 29-30% if you're getting, you're winning. Now Yogi ji went against these fundamental concepts of social engineering and vote bank politics, which had been established for 20-30 years, and still he won.
Yeah.
How did he manage to achieve that? One thing that I see is that even Yogi ji deployed a very strategic social engineering strategy, which is the breaking the caste system move with the campaign that you just stated. But in the context of modern day, how did Yogi ji break through that wall also to go on to become the chief minister? Because like you said, BJP was not doing so well. During this time, how did he break through this 30% slab?
So I think the multiple things, and again, let me put a caveat: he became a chief minister. Is not his merit. Because
Okay.
someone selected him, right? In 2022, the election was fought on his face. But 2017 was not fought on his face. It was in fact fought on after Notbandi on Narendra Modi's face. So the credit of 2017, he became the chief minister, goes to Narendra Modi and Amit Shah. That they selected you selected a good team. You selected a good camera team. Is not only the merit of the camera team, it's you selecting a good camera team, right? So Narendra Modi selected a good chief minister, is the credit should go to Narendra Modi, right? That's being one, right? But what he might have seen in Yogi Adityanath, that's very interesting, right? So while making Yogi Adityanath the chief minister, or anybody a chief minister, when BJP won 303 seat, what must have went in Narendra Modi's mind or Amit Shah's mind is that it's a typical OBC state or a Dalit state. So the what will be my obvious answer to it? Let make a OBC chief minister.
Correct.
Or let make a Dalit chief minister. Whoever is available among my 10 popular leaders, I'll pick, or even a member of parliament, I can make them go to the assembly. And there are a couple of names games also. From Manoj Sinha to Keshav Prasad Maurya to Satandev Singh to Dinesh Sharma. So take some caste combination, and but then he realizes there's so many caste combination that can I find someone who is caste agnostic? Now this is very tricky. How can someone be caste agnostic? There will be some caste you will
this
fall
is
into.
quite counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
Why would you make a chief minister who's caste agnostic?
No, I'm saying because there's so many castes. If I cater to this caste, then someone else may feel little, because OBC is also big. OBC is also a Kurmi and a Yadav and a Shakya and a Rajbhar and a Nishad. There's multiple OBC castes in UP, right? So if I give, so what I can do, I can give chief minister of a caste which has a maximum number. Even then, the second maximum may not like, the third maximum may not like. I want everybody's vote, right? So, and I'm not in the government, so I can also win their vote with a good work. That I can only do once I start working, right? So I have to give a person whose identity is caste agnostic. How can I come? In Hindu fold, you have some caste. But interestingly, technically a sadhu in Hindu ethos is not from any caste. And there is a very interesting saying, is a jaat na pucho sadhu ki. So he is known for what for his conduct, right? Not for his caste. Though from his pre-sannyas life, Yogi Adityanath comes from a Thakur family. So he's a Thakur, and once he's a sannyasi, technically he's a Brahman, right? So he's a Thakur Brahman combined, right? And because he's running movements of Khichdi Bhoj, of dissolving the caste identity, so people can attach him to that also. He can represent any community. So that way, Yogi Adityanath is someone who is like a Krishna. You know why Krishna? I'm not telling him avatar of Krishna. Why? Because when Krishna took the chakra, right, to kill someone, he became a Kshatriya. When Krishna gave the sermons of Bhagavad Gita, he became a Brahmin. When Krishna became a Sarathi, he became OBC, right? Because that's like a kind of a lower job, right? So he played all the roles whenever the need arose, right? So similarly, Yogi Adityanath, he catered to multiple roles. So that fitted in the UP definition. Second thing, UP was a politics of nepotism, right? Mulayam Singh Yadav, then his family has almost 40 politicians at one point. 40 politicians at one time. Like some Rajya Sabha members, some Vidhan Sabha members, some MLCs, some Ganna committee chairman can come block pramukh, some Jilla pramukh. In fact, I did a video and that got viral when I'm reading everybody's name in his family, that his wife, his kid, and I'm losing track at some point, right? Even after reading from my book, right? So that was one politics.
They wanted to go against nepotism.
I lost the track. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I want. So it was not only OBC politics; it was like a family politics, right? And who can crash the family politics? Who doesn't have a family, right? So Yogi Adityanath defies caste. Yogi Adityanath defies the nepotist culture of UP. So I think that brilliantly must have went. I'm trying to read Amit Shah's mind. I'm trying to read Narendra Modi's mind. That must have went against very other popular names of BJP in UP. That, oh my God, he's amazing. And also the third negative feature of UP was corruption. So there might be elements of corruption in even BJP. So BJP is considered a far more non-corrupt party, but there might be the elements of corruption. Who can be non-corrupt, right? Someone like a sadhu who doesn't have a worldly desires anyways, and who he will be corrupt for? He doesn't have a son to give his money to. Who doesn't have a wife to give money to? He doesn't have a father to give his money to, right? So these three elements, that he's caste agnostic, he's family agnostic, and he's agnostic of the lurement of corruption, right? I think these three elements went in his favor in Narendra Modi's mind and Amit Shah's mind to make his a chief minister. And fortunately, he became such a popular chief minister in those 5 years, right? Then he's proven the choice of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah right. And in fact, that was my second book, The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh. That came after 5 years of his work. Yeah. So that's that.
No, what he just described, Is social engineering and brand persona building at its level best?
I guess.
To the people who are watching this Indian business podcast, this is the most important aspect of business that I'm just taking away from this episode, this segment, which is breaking through the stereotype of nepotism requires a person who does not have a family. Breaking through the stereotype of caste requires a person who's caste agnostic.
Yeah. Whose
And
identity is caste agnostic. Yeah.
and breaking through corruption requires you to have a person who has a brand persona for whom there is no story
Exactly.
of passing on wealth.
And Ganesh, finding all these three very tough elements in one person is quite tough, right?
Yeah.
And that can occur only in a saint, right? In fact, I'll just tell you a very interesting phenomena, and I'm already answering question which you may ask or not ask. I was in Harvard with my book, right? And someone asked, "Is being a saint should be in the Himalayas, right? Why is enjoying the fruits of politics, right?" And is he a liability to the system or is he an asset to the system? This was like a very wordy question of a very left-leaning Indian boy studying there in Harvard, I think Harvard Kennedy School. And the answer came out was not a very prepared answer. जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं ना, कभी कभी आपकी जिवा पे सरस्वती बैठती है, and that answer became a very profound answer.
Okay.
Right? I asked them, in Kennedy School, you study about campaigns, you study about policy making, you study about monitoring and evaluation, you study about justice. But do you study about how to make a good leader? He said, no, there are elements of a leader, they are oratory, they should be studied. No, so do you have a factory of good leader, a non-corrupt leader, a selfless leader? Like can someone enter into a Howard machinery and after come out as very selfless, non-corrupt? You have major corruption cases in the United States. If you have major moral corruption, money corruption, political corruption, every kind of corruption, even in the United States, right? But how a politician who passed through a Howard machinery can be certified as a non-corrupt, that he'll be non-corrupt for life, right? He said, no, that's a very weird ask, right? That cannot happen. Once he's corrupt, judiciary can take care of it, right? I was like, no, but judiciary will come only post facto.
True.
Right?
After the damage is done.
After the damage is done. I'm saying, but no, in India, we have a system. And that's called sannyas parampara or a RSS kind of system. Where I cannot teach you non-corruptibility in a 2-hour workshop or even in a 1-year course. You have to live that life for long to behave like that. So, right. So, let's say in a sannyas parampara, and that's a very interesting thing. In sannyas parampara, you do your own pindadan when you're alive. Pindadan is, for your international audience, is kind of a ritual which you do for someone who's dead. So basically, you kill your identity. And in your documents, your father's name become your guru's name, not your biological father's name. So if you see the passport or Aadhaar card or voter ID card of Yogi Adityanath, in the father's name column is Mahant Abhidranath, non Anand Singh Bisht, his biological father, right? Because he has killed that entity anyways. And this is for any sadhu. You take the entity documents of any sadhu who's formally taken sannyas. So someone who has already killed his identity, there's high possibility for him to not be corrupt. उसने अपनी entity मार दिया और क्या बचा है, right? His all rishte naate are dead for him. His mother, father, siblings, anyone is just like any normal human being. That's one, right? And he's taught this non-corruptibility day in and day after for a long time, right? And that makes him behave. There's a high possibility, there can be an exception, but there's a high possibility this person will behave very non-corrupt when he or she is in government. And that was my answer, that why he behaved in this 5 years the way he behaved. Yeah.
You know what fascinates me the most about BJP, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of criticism for this, they somehow scout and pick the best leaders very, very consistently. Whether that's Vajpayee, Modi ji, Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, Manor Parikar, Nitin Gadkari, Yogi ji. And one example that I can think of in the context of sports is Alex Ferguson. Parsh is a big fan of Manu, and he often says that Alex Ferguson had an eye for great talent. Now, when it comes to sports, also, you can see a kid playing in an extraordinary way, and you can choose that kid and say that maybe this kid will go on to become a great player. But when it comes to politicians and choosing a national leader, most of these people have spent 2 decades as a nobody only to then become a somebody.
Even Narendra Modi, who knew Narendra Modi before 2002?
Exactly.
Right.
And I also remember certain anecdotes of Narendra Modi in the 1970s and 80s where he was just another Karyakarta. My question is, what is so special, or what is the methodology of leader scouting of the BJP?
What is their HR department doing right?
Basically right.
Exactly, for your
Because
corporate.
they're able to scout leaders who come out and then become somebody after 20 years. And politics or leadership is not something that you can gauge in 90 minutes or even one full year, right? You don't know when this person is going to behave in what way. So now that all these leaders are coming to the surface, you understand that there's something has been done right
Yeah.
20
And what
years
is that
back.
something?
What is that something?
So I think that's a brilliant question, Ganesh, right? That what is BJP doing right? You may agree, disagree with BJP, and in fact, you should, right? If you want to, right? To your audience. But what are they doing right? They're producing leader after leader. Remember, we used to say this thing with the Australian cricket team.
Exactly.
क्या इनका एक बॉलर रिटायर्ड होता है, दूसरा उतने 150 की स्पीड से बॉल फेंकता है. That how can they consistently create, and then they realize that they have a very smart domestic cricket. Right? Our domestic cricket before IPL was not that smart, right? Our Ranji trophies and all were little lackluster, right? They're not producing constantly amazing cricketers, right? Versus now IPL is factories creating a lot of. That's why Indian team is also because of the function of IPL,
Yeah.
right? So what they're doing right is, I think the major attribution is RSS. RSS is a factory to create good leaders. In fact, the one of the basic ethos of RSS is called Charitra Nirmana. Charit Nirmana, that we are here, our shakhas and our bodhiks, our pravas and our various prakalp, their various, various organizations. There are almost 42 organizations, from Sanskrit Bharati to Sanskar Bharati to Vigyan Bharati. All these 42 organizations are towards Charit Nirmana, basically character building, right? Which is a long process. I can't create your character in the way I want in a day, in a workshop, in a year. It's such a long life lived. It should be a lived experience rather than a tuition class. Right? So, and I can say with decent conviction that Narendra Modi is the best product of the factory called RSS. Why? Because, and RSS identifying him and BJP identifying, that's the scouting part. That first of all, a training is happening, and out of the training, I am also choosing the best person. So these two processes are happening brilliantly: the training process and the scouting process, both, right? And the training process is quite large enough. Let's say we'll take the example of the brilliant case, the best case scenario, which is Narendra Modi, right? So Narendra Modi is born and brought up in a 10 by 10 house. He was selling tea after the school hours in the station. For him, poverty is a lived experience. Versus Rahul Gandhi, I'm giving a contrast, not for the political, so that someone has a contrast. For Rahul Gandhi, poverty is a tuition class with a tutor, that to tutors like Jairam Ramesh and Sam Petroda, which don't understand poverty themselves, right? When Narendra Modi was living in a 10 by 10 house, someone like Rahul Gandhi was living in a palace under SPG protection, right? So the context is very different. And then someone like Narendra Modi joins RSS, and he understands society for next 15 years. A lot of people say Narendra Modi has a family. Narendra Modi doesn't have a family. He doesn't understand family. But Narendra Modi have lived, ate food, a breakfast or a lunch and dinner in more than thousands of houses. And that's the very interesting. You know, in RSS, it's almost directed. You will not eat food in a hotel. You have to eat food in a, for a karyakarta, for a pracharak, you have to, you can't live even in a dharmshala. You have to live in somebody's houses. Convince someone. I have to convince Ganesh, मैं आज आपके घर रहूंगा. Ganesh, I'm coming for dinner. So they self-invite.
What is the reason for that?
So that if I go to Ganesh's house, right, I will understand a podcaster's house. If I come to Shantanu's house and eat food, I will understand the family of a homeschooling family and someone who writes. If I go to a farmer's house, a teacher's house, a banker's house, an industrialist's house, a poor house, so I will getting so many experiences. I mean, I will be living those experiences, and if I stay over in their houses, even more. I'll see their bathroom and their toilet, what kitchen they have, what do they cook in the breakfast. So I live, and Narendra Modi must have lived in thousands of houses during his Karyakarta days. And can you imagine living in somebody's houses? It's such a lived experience, right? Because if you live in the houses, their small fights, how they're scolding their kids, what is the small fight between husband and wife, are they respecting the elders in the house, what are the photos they're putting. Is it a actor's photo in their house or a Krishna's photo in the house, right? What is the culture in the house, how they're getting up in the morning, are the slippers outside the house or inside the house, every fabric of the house you'll understand, right? And you'll do that every day for 15 years, 365 days a year. He is going to a new house. So that's the training of whole of India.
Grassroots understanding of the society,
right? And now he transgress himself to BJP as a karyakarta. Now what is he doing? He's saying, now my societal knowledge should translate into a voting behavior. Before in RSS, I was seeing you as a citizen of India. Now I'm seeing you as a voter. Will you vote for me or not? My ethos are matching with your ethos or not? Shall I change my ethos? My ethos means BJP's ethos cater to you. See, BJP is a philosophy which I have to sell to you, right? It's like a content which I have to sell you, right? Or maybe I will change your ethos only so that you will like my content, right? Which then happened for 15 years again.
Basically, it's market research for 15 years only to understand how
So
to design a great campaign.
first he understood the society, the TG, and then he see that how to organize this TG for to buy me. Buy me means vote for me. Voting is nothing but buying me, buying my concept, right? Next 15 years, and that to multiple states. So a map of India is again a tuition class for Rahul Gandhi, but that's a lived experience for Narendra Modi. He lived in a Himachal or a Kashmir or a Bengal or a Tamil Nadu or for long, not for 2 days, for months together, for managing the election, for managing a campaign, for managing a Rath Yatra, let's say Rath Yatra, and which is very surreal, interesting thing that today Prime Minister Narendra Modi did the Pran Pratishtha of Ram Mandir, and he's the one who managed the Rath Yatra from Somnath to Ayodhya for Lal Krishna Advani on so many things, and today he's the Prime Minister and it's happening, right? It's a very interesting coincidence, or I say a Devayog, not a Sanyog, right? Then he's the Prime Minister. But again, while doing that, right, he might have gained far more experience as the Lal Krishna Advani, because Lal Krishna Advani was a stage, like the face for it, right? But he was managing in which state will go, where will we sleep, where the toilets will be used, how Karyakartas will eat food. He's doing, and he's did that for 15 years. And then all of a sudden, after doing all of this, he became the Chief Minister of Gujarat, right? And then he learned administration of a state like Gujarat for 13 long years. And then BJP projects him as the Prime Minister face. And then credit goes to BJP. The way credit for Yogi Adityanath goes to Narendra Modi and Yogi Adityanath, the credit for Narendra Modi becoming the chief Prime Minister candidate. I'm not saying the Prime Minister. Prime Minister people voted for him. Prime Minister candidate, the credit goes to the BJP and Sangh, the structure who decided. Because he was not the first choice. Advani ji was still surviving. And he was the Prime Minister face for long in the post Atal era. And Narendra Modi was almost the third level leader, because the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha was Sushma Swaraj. The leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha was Arun Jaitley. So these were the top two leaders, and Advani ji was the mentor for these two. So these three could have been the obvious choice. Chief ministers are like the second level leaders, and in chief minister also there was a chief Shivraj Singh Chauhan also.
Yeah.
Right. But when party identified that the Gujarat model is a talked about thing, right? He's the Hindu Hriday Samrat also, and he's the development guru also. And he's popular even in a Uttar Pradesh, which is not a Gujarati state, in a Madhya Pradesh and a Bihar also. And reading the mind of the people and catapulting someone who is like a third level leader to top leader against the egos of many. I'm sure the ego of Advani ji might have hurt. I don't know. But the ego of Sushma Swaraj or a Jaitley ji or a Rajnath ji, who were a far more senior leader than Narendra Modi war that time, might got have hurt that time. But party took the decision because he was a more meritorious person and who was more capable of winning elections, right? And then he worked as a prime minister and understood the governance of a country. Earlier he was a governance of a state and a country, and the international governance also. And this is Narendra Modi, right? And when Narendra Modi comes at the helm of affairs, right, he started using the way he catapulted himself, or the party catapulted him on the national stage. Can I create a battery of leaders who are young and experienced at the same time? And then he created a norm of 75 years, that someone should be 75, should be in active politics, right? And then he started grooming politicians against the popular political acumen. So in Uttar Pradesh, which is a very OBC politics, he gives a sannyasi chief minister. In a Gujarat, which runs on a Patel politics, he gives Vijay Rupani, which is a non-Patel chief minister. In a Maharashtra, which run on a Maratha politics, he gives Devendra Fadnavis, a Brahmin, who is a non-Maratha, as an experiment on a merit, right? Not getting bogged down by the popular narrative. In a Haryana, which runs on a Jat politics, he gives a Khattar, who is a non-Jat. In Jharkhand, which runs on a tribal politics, he gives a Raghubar Das, who is a non-tribal, right? Some of the experiment failed maybe, or maybe did not give as much result as he wanted, as Narendra Modi wanted or Amit Shah wanted, but some of them gave results, right? And then a lot of these people are organic entry. Then he also poached a lot of people from outside, because in organization, like some of the CEOs are organically grown CEOs, but some even Infosys and Wipro took a lot of CEOs from outside. I'm sure you must have seen, right? Even Wipro, which is like a kind of a family-run company, but like a family-run smart company, but they took a lot of external CEOs. Infosys, which is an amazing battery of people, took a lot of external CEOs. So at times, BJP also took some external people. Someone like a Hemant Biswa, who was a hardcore congressman and became a chief minister of, end up becoming a chief minister of Assam, or a literal trainer like K. Annamalai, who's not any party, but he's ex-IPS officer. I am Lucknow studied, OBC, comes from a Kisan family, and made a party president against the wills of a lot of local leadership who might be senior in age. So I think this scouting for talent versus scouting for a second name. See, Rahul Gandhi is there because of a Gandhi. Akhilesh Yadav is there because he has Yadav surname. Right? Abhishek Banerjee is there because he comes from Mamata Banerjee's family. Udayanidhi Stalin is there because he comes from Karunanidhi's family. They are not there because of merit. They're there, they become their second name. And if you see their merit in the parliament currently, that's like abysmal. Rahul Gandhi's attendance in current parliament, 17th parliament, is between 40 to 50%. If you ride a bicycle from Rahul Gandhi's house in Delhi to parliament, it takes 10 minutes.
Okay.
And your attendance is 50%. And the national average is 80%. You might be thinking, koi aata hi nahi hai. So, and yani ki lot of people are coming 90 to 95%. The people like Rahul Gandhi is pulling to 80%.
And what is the attendance of Modi ji and Yogi ji?
I'll come to Yogi. Let me complete the attendance of a couple of others,
Okay.
right? Akhilesh Yadav was in parliament till recently, and then he became in Vidhan Sabha. He was a parliamentary from Azamgarh. His attendance was 33%, man. Abhishek Banerjee, who is the pota nephew of Mamta Banerjee, his attendance currently, in current parliament, you can't even guess. It's 15%, man.
15%.
15%, 1-5, not 50. 15%. And when every parliamentarian gets a house and a bungalow in Lutyens, Delhi, Lutyens, Delhi, it's full with the bungalows of these MPs. They get like a 4 BHK with a garden, with garden and a cook in Delhi, right? And they get 20 to 25 tickets to and from their constituency every year. So ticket bhi de diya, ghar bhi de diya, tab bhi nahi aa rahe. Right? This is the performance. So they are not there. I think my larger point is they are not there because of their performance. They're there because of their second name. Right? Versus when Yogi Ji was in parliament, his attendance was between 85 to 90%. And in fact, in Yogi Ji's case, so I'm sure parliaments get adjourned very often, right? And whenever the parliament gets adjourned, people go back to their homes because their homes are very nearby, right? They can go back or they have two more parking lots. They go to the central hall where they gossip around, right? Like a party across party line, or they go to the parliament canteen, which is a very yum food. Earlier it was 10 paisa ka samosa. Now Narendra Modi made it like a whatever the market price is. So now samosa comes in 10 rupees, I guess, right? So whatever the price is, so you go home, you hang out in the canteen, or you go to the central hall. But Yogi Ji was not in. If the parliament is adjourned, he used to go to the library of the parliament. He has issued. He is the top issuers of the books in the parliament library when he was in the parliament, right? So you are seeing that how someone like Yogi Adityanath is training himself also, right? He is asking almost 300 questions to the Modi government between 2014 and 2017. Well, Rahul Gandhi is asking 0 questions. Rahul Gandhi should ask more questions to Modi government.
Yeah.
But Yogi Adityanath is asking when the AIMS is coming to my area, when the fertilizer factory is coming to my area, when Japanese encephalitis, which is called Dimagi Bukhar in that area, is becoming a routine immunization in the immunization routine of for the kids in that area. He's pushing his own government to do better work in his area versus a Rahul Gandhi who is not even showing up in the parliament, right? So that's why I think whenever someone says I disagree with Modi or Yogi, I'm like, surely do, but match their hard work with the hard work. You can't flirt with politics on weekends and say, oh, EVM rig ho gaya, right? I think that's a shoddy commentary, and that's I think.
Shantuji, I'm very fascinated to understand how does a voter think? Because there are social indicators, economic indicators, and I'm sure that most of India doesn't have a look at it at all. And while we were having this conversation in the conference room, you mentioned something that actually caught my attention. Ram ke naam pe vote ya kaam ke naam pe vote. What does that mean? And can you give me an insight on how does a voter fundamentally think?
I don't know that how crores of voters, what is their voting preference when they go to the polling booth or in the EVM, right? But talking to so many people and analyzing election results for so many years, I have a conjecture, I have a theory, right? What are the parameters that might be going in voters' mind while pressing that button for a particular party or a particular candidate, right? And all your viewers who love mathematics, let's frame an equation, right? So voting behavior is a function of, so fx equal to a plus b plus c plus d. So there are four parameters, I think, which goes on in any voter's mind, right? And it's not that those parameters are playing only that day or that week or that month or that year. He's making these parameters like while he's deciding for the next vote, right? And the weightage of each parameters might be different in different economic strata, right? So it might be 5a plus 2b plus 1 c and d for someone, and maybe d might be having more weightage and c might be having a lesser weightage, right? Let me tell you what is a and b, c for d for me. A is what is the change in my life, like the total selfish motive, right? How my life changed in this incumbent's year. So let's say if I analyze this election, which is the election for Narendra Modi's incumbency, like he's the incumbent, right, from last 10 years. For in 2014 to 2024, did my life change drastically for good or bad, right? So that'll be my voting preference. That's one, right? It might be very different for the same factor will play out very different for economically weaker section to middle class to a rich businessman, right? That's one. Parameter B, Ganesh, is my identity.
Identity.
My identity, my personal identity. Do I relate with the politician? Because I relate with someone who's similar to me, right? So that identity might be my caste, that identity might be my religion, that identity might be my age. So if I'm a young voter, I want to vote for a young voter, right? Or young candidate. Or my gender, maybe a woman voter wants to vote for a woman candidate, right? Or maybe a handsome boy candidate, right? I read a lot of theories that Obama's looks helped in getting a lot of women votes, right? So my region, I'm a North Indian or South Indian. We have seen a lot of anti-North Indian statement from politicians from DMK. Or what else? My language, maybe. Now language is Hindi speaking, not Hindi speaking is also a trouble point, right? So these are my identity, right? So I want to see, do I see the reflection of me in my candidate? So that's called identity politics. जिसको हम जात की politics कहते हैं, जाति पे वोट पड़ता है, right? Number 3 is national pride.
National pride.
National pride. So that thing is not changing my life. Let's say if someone is winning an Olympic medal, like my life is the same, right? But I feel I take pride in that. And my country, if India wins a match against Pakistan, my life more or less, unless I'm a Satori, I'm a rookie, and I'm betting on the match. My life doesn't change. India wins or India loses, but I take pride in that. If Narendra Modi goes outside India and he's treated well, and India's images increases, my life more or less remains the same, right? But I take pride in that, right? So national pride. So my happiness increases with the national pride in most of the cases. So that's the factor C.
Okay.
And factor D is who is executing A, B, and C? A leader. So my perception of that leader. We talked about multiple leaders in length, right? And that leader comes from a political party. So the combination of my believability, my trust factor in the leader and the party. That's factor D, right? So I think the combination of all these goes in the mind. Now I'll give you one or two examples to explain this A, B, C, D. So let's take a EWS voter, economically weaker section voter, and let's take the parameter A. Did the life of a woman voter, let's say, change in last 10 years or not? And so much so that is that her voting preference? Because normally earlier the voting preference was what the male of the family has told her. कि इस बार सपा को वोट पड़ेगा भाई, इस बार बसपा को वोट पड़ेगा, इस बार भाजपा को वोट पड़ेगा, सब वही वही वोट डाल के आएंगे. That's like a dictation from the head of the family, right? Because their life is more or less the same in that polling year, in that government year. Their 5 years were more or less the same. So if your governance remains the same, governance remains the same, samely bad, right? Your voting preference is identity or whatever your male member have told. Now let's see a poor woman voter. She gets up in the morning. She sees my kids are sleeping in a fan in a pakka house. You can't imagine that sukoon, right? Which a mother can see, which she was seeing in couple of years back. They were sleeping under a leaking roof and hardly any fan, mosquitoes, and they're saying, okay, my kids will get up with a fever, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Now she need, that's point number one. Now her day is going on. Now she has to go to the loo, the morning loo, right? Earlier she has to wait for, earlier she has to go before the sunrise because she has to go in the bushes. Because earlier, otherwise the sun will be glowing bright, and she can't go to the toilet, right? Now she has a toilet in her house. And the houses earlier were not given to one, two people, not couple of lakhs. 4 crore people got houses in the last 10 years, pakka houses, and all the houses are in the name of the woman. So her prestige in the household is also, कि भाई तुम्हारे घर में रह रहा हूँ मैं. The male member is living in her house technically because the ghar is in her name, right? Now she just opened the doors of the toilet and goes. A lot of people will not understand because most of us is brought up in houses, even in middle class houses, but we had at least a toilet in the houses, right? Very few of us went outside, maybe during some camping, that was fun for us to defecate and open. But defecate was opening, was a majburi for crores and crores of people. Narendra Modi has given 10 crore toilets in last 10 years. So the life of this woman drastically changed. Okay, now she has to wash hands and take bath. Earlier, taking bath means water. Water means going to faraway places, carrying 20, 30 liters of water on the head, facing a lot of headaches and spine problems because you're carrying. Maybe your viewers can do a small test. Go to your bathroom, take a 15, 20 liter bucket. First of all, carry it on your head and just walk in your house. हम लोग कहते हैं नानी याद आ जाएगी. And these women were doing this from their childhood with 20 liters of water every day, multiple rounds a day. And now opening a tap is a magic for them. I've seen it's a magic for them. Oh, pani aa raha hai. This tap opening is like 1 hour run for them, right? Just imagine their voting behavior, right? And when they associate kisne laya change. Okay, naliye. Now she has to go to the kitchen. As soon as she put the stove on of PM Ujjwala Yojana, she thinks of those going to the jungle, going to the woods and getting the wood back home, or making the cow dung cakes, upla jisko bolte hain hum log. And cooking 3 times of meal in a day is equivalent to smoking 300 cigarettes a day.
Yeah.
And when she does, that's again a magic for her. Because tuck, gas aa gayi. She will remember, यार इतना लकड़ी लाते थे, उसको सुखाते थे, उसको जलाते थे, तब खाना बनता था. Now it's a magic for her. Imagine the imagine the perception or change of life in her mind, right? फिर वो जो अनाज पक रहा है वो भी PM से आया है. That ration has come from, and very smoothly it's coming now. The ऊपर का पैसा भी चाहिए आपको. You need some oil, you need some sugar, you need some sabzi tarkari, right? She has multiple kind of cash transfer. Some from PM Kisan, some from Vidwa pension, some from old age pension, some from scholarship for the kid. So she has some disposable cash, right? When she goes out, she's finding the roads are better, law and order is better. So her life has perceptibly changed, visually changed. That's why a woman voter has become a new vote bank for Narendra Modi. And they are not voting because they're a Brahman or a Shakya or a Yadav or a Nishad or a Rajbar. They are voting because they're a beneficiary. So I normally say that Narendra Modi is creating one more caste, which is called Labharthi, which is voting for Narendra Modi because their life is significantly changed in last 10 years, right? So, and interestingly, whenever you increase governance quotient, if I plot governance, effectiveness of governance on x-axis and identity politics or on y-axis, as soon as the governance increase, the identity politics decreases.
Yeah.
Why? Because earlier I have to find the policeman of my caste to get a police complaint registered. To get a house from the government scheme, I have to find someone from my caste, some Bahubali from my caste, ki, oh, he will get me to the CDO's office, BDO's office, and he can get me the house from the scheme. My cash transfers will only come if I know 3 people in the community. So my reliance for the community is not only for Shadi Biyah. My reliance for the community is only for getting the government schemes. Now the government schemes are directly coming to my account in my khata, right? So I only need community for Shadi party function, which is the good use. We are a very community-led society, which is the use of the community. But the usage of the community for politics happened because the governance was very weak. As soon as Narendra Modi increased the governance quotient, made it very effective, technology-led, the identity politics clashed. So he created a beneficiary vote bank.
So you're saying that he made A more effective, because of which B became less effective.
B becomes less effective. Now, in B, one of the elements is Ram, you said, right? Earlier, I told you that Congress gave a formula that treat Muslim as a vote bank and make sure Hindus don't feel like Hindus. They should feel like one of the castes. Narendra Modi did a counter to this. Narendra Modi says, I will make them feel like a Hindu. rather than a Brahmin or a Shakya or a Vaishya or a Dalit or a Thakur, right? How he did that? He said, I will take pride in Indian culture, right? If I will go outside India, I will not give Taj Mahal to my counterpart. I will give a Bhagavad Gita to my counterpart. That my country's ethos. If Jinping from China will come to India, I will take him to Sabarmati ka tat, not in some five-star hotel in Delhi. I will take him to some temple in Tamil Nadu, right? I will sport a mund in front of him. I'll tell you this is also my culture, right? In that part of the country. If Shinzo Abe, the late Shinzo Abe will come, I will take him to Banaras and he will also perform Ganga Aarti with me. If the Macron will come from France, I will take him to Hawa Mahal in Jaipur and also make him drink a tea on the roadside and pay with a UPI. So the display of my culture and my policy is happening side by side, right? I'm not apologetic about it. If I win election, I'll go to Ganga, put a Trikund, put a the Trishul, I'll not mind, right? If Kedarnath temple is not good, I will renovate it. I will not be apologetic like Nehru was when Somnath Mandir was renovated. I will renovate Somnath Mandir also. I will create a Kashi corridor, Omkareshwar corridor, a Ujjain corridor. I will go do the Pran Pratishtha of Ayodhya also against whoever, whoever say whatever, right? So he brought back the pride in being a Hindu, right? And because of that, because of the Ram politics, if I can say so, and very effective Ram politics and very visual Ram politics. Visual means the earlier there was hardly earlier the Kashi corridor was like Kashi temple was like dilapidated small temple. Now it's a Kashi corridor. Ayodhya temple is really existing. पहले कहते ना मंदिर वहीं बनाएंगे तारीख नहीं बताएंगे अब मंदिर भी है तारीख भी है मंदिर is a grand mandir is standing there, right? So these are not like some word play. These are the real things happening there, right? Because of that, again, if I plot the Hindu politics on the x-axis, right, and caste politics on y-axis, as soon as you cater to the Hindu politics, and I don't like the word Hindu politics, I'll say Indian cultural politics, right? Because
Okay.
now, because Hindu politics, the cultural politics also has Ayurveda and yoga into it, right? Because you see, Indian scriptures are the life scriptures. They are not only puja paddhati. The same scriptures are yoga and Ayurveda and sciences into it. So more you cater to the Indian philosophy, right? Your caste voter will started feeling like more of a Hindu and the caste politics will also go down, right? So in B, Ram and caste is both are there. So the sub parameters of B1 or B2 if I can call them, right? They are also interplaying. So B1, which is the Ram politics, if you increase that, the caste politics again go down, right? Remember we used to talk about कि जात की politics खत्म कैसे होगी? नरेंद्र मोदी, मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ जात की politics खत्म हो गई है, but again he has drastically reduced the importance of the caste politics by governance and by the Ram politics.
Which means you're saying that macro social engineering is more powerful than micro social engineering.
You're right. You're right.
In fact, that makes more sense also. Like if you're getting a broader spectrum of audience, why wouldn't you do it?
Exactly.
And by doing less things. Like if you have to cater to 50 different castes, you have to do 50 different things.
Exactly.
But if you have to cater to one specific religion, all you have to do is do the Pran
and
Pratishtha
also do good work.
Hmm.
See, this is my premise. Let's say Narendra Modi might have run a very shoddy government. There are no houses, no electricity, no roads, the way it was before 2014. And he would have put Ram Temple. The Ram Temple's significance would not have been that much the way it is today. In fact, I keep saying he gave the 10th crore gas chula in Ayodhya just 3 weeks back before the Ram Temple. And my premise is that Ramji was also waiting for the elements of Ramarajya to come before he gets sthapit in the Ayodhya temple, right? So the Ram temple is sitting over good work. Ram temple is not sitting only Ram temple. So he's not doing only identity politics. He's doing a lot of good work and Ram temple also. I think that's why it's playing well. And then we smoothly move to the factor C, national pride. Be it Pulwama, be it Indians winning medals outside. When he go outside, he gathers 50,000 people as a drop of a hat. In fact, I'm saying the local politician might be getting challenged. ये तो मेरे देश में मुझसे ज़्यादा लोग इकट्ठे कर ले रहा है, right? Right? Can you imagine like in America, he's talking to 50,000 people. 50,000 people gathering in America is like 10 lakh people gathering in India, right? Because they don't gather in so much numbers, right? When G20 happens, it happens in multiple cities, right? I'm sure, मतलब ऑटो वाले को भी पता था कि G20 हो रहा है इंडिया में. A foreign policy को localize कर दिया, right? So the pride that people are taking, right? And Indian brand has become big. So a lot of entrepreneurs, unicorn people, founders tell me that getting money from VCs has become easy for Indian entrepreneurs because brand India has increased because of Modi. In fact, I always tell entrepreneurs that everyone should give 1% equity to Narendra Modi because he's your free brand ambassador. right? And Narendra Modi will be very rich, getting 1% of all the 150 unicorns we have. And then the factor D, that all of this, who is doing all of this? Narendra Modi is doing all of this.
Also, Jai Shankar.
Yeah, I'll come to the leader part. Like, who is doing, who is performing A, who is performing B, who is performing C? A leader who is coming from a party, right? And then my theory will come of Narendra Modi is a product of 15 years of RSS, a product of 15 years in the party, a product of 13 years as chief minister, a product of 10 years being prime minister. He is not product of he being Modi or a Gujarati or a North Indian, South Indian, not of identity. He is a product of hard training and hard scouting. Versus any other leader, versus a Gandhi or a Abdullah or a Stalin, they are a product of a second name, right? As I told you that Narendra Modi, to my understanding, the best product the RSS factory has created, right? See, a lot of policies are Narendra Modi is able to implement because he did it. Examples is demonetization. Can you imagine if someone else who doesn't have a social capital among people might have implemented demonetization? सड़क पे दंगे हो जाते. You as a banker not allowing me to withdraw my money. वो लोग बहुत सारे बैंकर्स को लिंच कर देते. भाई मेरे घर में शादी है, मेरे घर में कोई बीमार पड़ा है, you're not allowing me to withdraw my money. People say no, Narendra Modi did it. There's something good in him. मतलब उसका डिसीजन शायद गलत हो, आगे हो, पीछे हो, बट हिज इंटेंशन माइट बी राइट, राइट? कोरोना आता है, राइट? मेनी वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज, गणेश, वर नॉट एबल टू पुट लॉकडाउन, क्योंकि पुलिस से लॉकडाउन नहीं लगा सकते. कितने लोगों को लाठी मारोगे भाई, राइट? बिकॉज नरेंद्र मोदी सेड इट, वी हैव टू बी इन द हाउसेस. दैट्स व्हाई इंडिया वाज एबल टू पुट अ फेयरली decent lockdown. Not because of police, because Narendra Modi said it. Then he said that health workers are getting very disappointed, very delusioned, right? He said उनको motivate करते हैं, घंटी बजाओ. May look very stupid and very amateurish, but again उस दिन जब करे तो people were crying. घंटी बजा रहे हैं, कोई थाली बजा रहा है, कोई दिया बजा रहा है, and talk to the health workers, talk to the doctors, talk to the medical staff, right? How they felt the whole country is banging for me, whole country is motivating me. Right? This only Narendra Modi can get it done, right? He asked people that can you leave your gas subsidy? Crores of people left their gas subsidy. With that money, he started giving. He became a Robin Hood, right? He started giving poor the gas stoves, right? He asked a lot of senior citizen, can you drop your IRCTC senior citizen subsidy? Lakhs of people dropped it. So he's playing this role of a सुपर गार्जियन कि अगर वर्ल्ड कप हार जाएंगे तो वो इधर कोहली और रोहित को पकड़ के खड़े हो जाएंगे. अगर मैच जीतेंगे तब भी कॉल आएगा. ओलंपिक्स में मैच हार भी जाएंगे, ही विल डू अ कॉल टू द टीम कि भाई घबराने के बाद अगला मैच जीतेंगे. अगर चंद्रयान 2 will get failed, he will hug the scientist. When you saw a prime minister hugging a crying scientist, right? And Chandrayaan 3 goes up, right? So this is a Narendra Modi factor that's setting, right? So this is D. And then D is coming from a party called BJP, which is a very strong cadre, which is an electoral machine, right? Where a party position is very important. In fact, in BJP, this is a very common thing. It's very easy, not very easy, it's rather easy to become a member of parliament for BJP rather than become a general secretary of the party. So party position ठोक बजा के लेंगे. MP तो चलो विनेबल कैंडिडेट दे दिया, बाहर से बुलाया, दूसरी पार्टी से बुलाया, दे दिया, लेकिन दूसरी पार्टी से बुला के आपको स्टेट प्रेसिडेंट नहीं बनाएंगे. सो अगर नरेंद्र मोदी यूपी के नोएडा में उतरेंगे तो नोएडा का जो युवा मोर्चा का कार्यचर्चा होगा वो फूल देगा. सो पार्टी पोजीशंस आर ऑनर्ड, राइट? पार्टी पोजीशंस आर लाइक पक्का. सो दैट स्ट्रॉन्ग पार्टी पोजीशन एंड अ सॉलिड आइडियोलॉजी. यू मे एग्री डिसएग्री विद बीजेपी आइडियोलॉजी, बट दे हैव ए आइडियोलॉजी एंड दे वर्क टुवर्ड्स इट. 370 कहा था, कर दिया. राम मंदिर कहा था, कर दिया. सीए कहा था, कर दिया. यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड कहा था, पार्शियली शुरू कर दिया उत्तराखंड में, राइट? वर्सेस इफ यू आस्क ए कांग्रेस कार्यकर्ता व्हाट्स योर आइडियोलॉजी, आई डोंट नो, मे बी आई हैव टू विन इलेक्शंस, maybe Rahul ji yatra kar rahe hain, I have to do something around it, right? They have like kind of threefold ideology. I'll stand with the Indian culture, which people loosely translate Hindutva. I'll be nationalist, people loosely translate Bharat Mata ki jai, and I'll be good on governance. I'll be non-corrupt and efficient government. This is my three ideology, which a ABVP ka chota karyakarta to prime minister, they will speak the same language.
The vision,
right?
is very clear, you're saying.
It is very vision, very clear, right? Versus ask any कार्यकर्ता of a Congress or समाजवादी पार्टी, right? जैसे समाजवादी पार्टी में से we are Lohiites, we are socialists. लेकिन क्या है सोशलिस्ट, क्या है? अखिलेश यादव की बाइसाइकिल मर्सिडीज की है. आपको पता भी नहीं होगा मर्सिडीज में बाइसाइकिल्स 3 लाख की बाइसाइकिल चलाते हैं वो. उसमें आगे मर्सिडीज और BMW और मर्सिडीज बाइसाइकिल्स भी बनाते हैं. और उनका लोगो क्या है? लोगो ऑफ समाजवादी पार्टी इज अ बाइसाइकिल जो 2-3 हजार रुपए की काली बाइसाइकिल आती है. लेकिन वो उसका जो मुखिया है, ही इज रनिंग अ मर्सिडीज बाइसाइकिल हु इज सेइंग माय इथोस आर सोशलिज्म और लोहियावादी, राइट? सो दे आर नॉट लिविंग दैट देयर आइडियोलॉजी. Ideology is very clear from prime minister to the कार्यकर्ता, knows the ideology, the कार्यकर्ता का weight है, and they have a smart party structure. जैसा party structure center में है, the same is replicated in the state, Same is replicated in the district, same is replicated in the mandal, same is replicated in the booth, same is replicated in the morcha. Morcha means Yuva Morcha, Mahila Morcha, OBC Morcha, same structure. There's a president, there's a vice president, there's a general secretary, there's secretaries, there's an executive team. Same structure. Cadre based party, cadre मिला के लाखों लोग हो जाता है, right? And I'm talking to them every now and then. I'm giving them tasks. आज दीन दयाल पे क्विज करो, आज झंडा यात्रा निकालो. I'm giving them sometime good, sometime artificial work to give them engaged, right? Throughout the year. I remember I went to a Sangathan Mantri of UP when they just won 2019 election. उसके 15 दिन बाद वो कुछ झंडा यात्रा करवा रहे थे. अगस्त आ गया था, 15 अगस्त. मैंने कहा सर अब तो इलेक्शन हो गया. नो, आई हैव टू कीप देम एंगेज्ड, अदरवाइज वो रोग बन जाएंगे, वो हफ्ता वसूली करने लगेंगे. हफ्ता मतलब दे आर एम्पावर्ड पीपल इन द कॉलोनी, राइट? कि भाई देखो मैंने चुनाव लड़वाया था, एमपी बन गया. वो कहीं गुंडे ना बन जाए कल के दिन. आई हैव टू गिव देम पॉजिटिव वर्क. मुझे उनको झंडा यात्रा करवानी पड़ेगी. मैं 15 अगस्त में क्विज कॉम्पिटिशन करवाऊंगा उनसे. सो कीप एक्टिंग लाइक एनजीओ ऑल्सो. डोंट बी अ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ओनली. एंड व्हेन यू आर इन गवर्नमेंट ऑल द मोर, बिकॉज जब आप गवर्नमेंट में होते हैं तो गुंडागर्दी करने का आपका स्कोप बढ़ जाता है. देखो मेरी गवर्नमेंट है, मैं आपसे हफ्ता वसूल करूंगा. सो यू हैव टू बी मोर डिसिप्लिन. सो दिस डिसिप्लिन कैडर, दैट ऑल इज बीजेपी. सो देयर बिलीवेबिलिटी इंक्रीज. एक सेम चीज, सेम प्रॉमिस 2024 इलेक्शन में, इफ नरेंद्र मोदी मेक्स दैट प्रॉमिस और राहुल गांधी मेक्स दैट प्रॉमिस, इट विल हैव वेरी डिफरेंट इफेक्ट ऑन पीपल. यार कह तो ये कहा है करेगा नहीं, नरेंद्र मोदी ने कहा है तो करेगा, क्योंकि बिकॉज हिज पास्ट रिकॉर्ड, राइट? इट्स लाइक एनी ब्रांड, राइट? कि उस पर कितना ब्रांड ट्रस्ट है. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस प्लेज वेरी सटली. A, how my life improved. B, what is my identity. C, what is my national pride. D, which leader is executed. In सबका ratio is plays out in voters' mind in different stratas, right? And then he presses that machine. That's my understanding.
Now, having said that, do you believe Yogi Ji's saffron robe plays against him? Because you mentioned identity. Because I remember when he became the chief minister of UP, a lot of people criticized him for the saffron robe. And the same people, ironically, also speak about freedom of expression and freedom of speech.
Yeah,
But having said that, mob is illogical. Mob doesn't understand nuance.
right.
So, do you believe when it comes to Yogi Ji, his saffron robe might become an obstacle for him to become the prime minister?
See, yes and no. So, his prime minister question is like will come in a post-Modi era, and the way Narendra Modi looks so youthful, I think the post-Modi era will not come like before 10-15 years, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll talk about post-Modi era in maybe when the post-Modi era will come, right? And you will have maybe 100 million subscribers by then, right? I think the interesting question is about the saffron robe of Yogi Adityanath. It's an asset for him or a liability for him, for his electoral chances, for whatever role he's playing, right? I think it plays out different kind of people. The people who takes pride in their Hindu identity now, after the Narendra Modi's engineering, so to say, they take pride in him. They see a Mahant in him, right? And a lot of people who thought in 2017 कि यार मोदी ने क्या कर दिया ये, what is this stupid decision, ये घंटी बजाने वाला पुजारी क्या governance करेगा. But when they saw him executing from law and order to an investment summit, when he met Bill Gates, and Bill Gates was amazed by his knowledge of health systems.
Can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll come to the Bill Gates part, right? So when people saw him doing from law and order to investment summit to catering to unicorns to expressways to airports to everything, then a lot of these people who hated the saffron hope, right? Not hated, but they were very skeptical कि यार इससे क्या होगा, तो पुजारी जी घंटी वंटी बजा लेंगे, पूजा कर लेंगे, but he doesn't understand governance, he doesn't understand law. But for some reason they discounted that this person was in parliament for 19 years. He saw 19 budgetary processes, whichever government it was, and he was asking 300 350 questions to every government. He was asking culturally led questions also. He was asking something like a CAA or Ram Mandir, but he was also asking India-US relationships. He was asking India-Israel relationships. He was asking a new IIT or a new IIM or an AIMS in his area. Only thing, we only heard a few viral videos where he in some electorally charged environment where maybe he's giving little religious tone to it. We thought, oh, that's only Yogi Adityanath for me. We never heard him asking about the urea subsidy or AIMS in his area, right? So all of this together is Yogi Adityanath. And when people understood his, because he never got a chance to show his execution skills, because he was never a minister even when he was MP. And when he has got a chance to show his execution skills in those 6 years, even a lot of these people who were skeptical about the saffron robe, they started saluting him. That when they saw the NCRB data, and when investment started coming, I think that's a lot of your business kind of viewers. The koi bhi dhande wala, कोई भी entrepreneur will never go to a area where his employees and money is not safe. That's like the basic of the of ease of doing business. कि law and order तो होगा, contracts follow होंगे, and law and order maintained होगा. And Yogi Adityanath was very clear about it, that I have to create conditions for people to come outside. From people to come from outside UP, outside India to me, and I have to do three things. First, law and order. I have to create airports so that they will not keep riding on the roads, right? I have to create amazing expressways, and I have to give 24/7 electricity. Industries will not run on gensets, right? And the first 3-4 years he did this, and that's why even a MotoGP came. If you know, MotoGP is the F1 of biking, and the first MotoGP of India happened in Noida in Uttar Pradesh last year. And Carmelo and Camelo, the founders, the people who hold the brand, and they told the monk who brought MotoGP to Bharat. That was the heading of one of the sports magazine, and he was there for 1 hour. He did the last flagging of the last circuit, and he was giving the trophy to whoever, I forgot the name of the rider from Europe, to the rider, right? So bringing MotoGP, from bringing law and order to bringing MotoGP to Bharat, right? That was a Yogi addition, and then people started discounting their skepticism with the saffron robe, and they realized. So I think Narendra Modi, Yogi Adityanath added a charm to the saffron robe now, in fact, right? That, oh my God, now when I tweet something about Yogi Adityanath, a lot of people say हमें तो आंध्रा में भी योगी चाहिए, हमें तो तमिलनाडु में भी योगी चाहिए, हमें यहाँ पे भी योगी चाहिए. So he's become a brand of good governance now, which was earlier was not expected by many.
Which kind of validates your theory that governance will always supersede identity as a variable,
To
right?
mind, but that governance has to be like top class. You can't do छोटा छोटा काम and say मुझे काम पे वोट मिलेगा. काम पे vote is tougher than identity पे vote.
True.
Identity में vote you can even appease. You can say some statement also तो काम हो जाएगा. ओवासी की स्टेटमेंट दे देगा. ओवासी ने कुछ नहीं करा. ओवासी का एरिया, ओवासी has 11-12 MLAs and one MP seat, his own seat in the old city area of Hyderabad. That area, my wife's from Hyderabad. That area is similarly undeveloped from last 30 years. I'm watching Hyderabad.
Oh,
But
okay.
he just gives 4 electorally charged statements against Hindus and he gets vote. Right? That's why entity politics is easier politics, right? Governance politics is tougher politics. क्योंकि काम करना पड़ता है भाई. सड़क बनानी पड़ती है. टू मेक अ न्यू ग्रीनफील्ड एक्सप्रेसवे आपको कितनी जमीन खरीदनी पड़ेगी, कोर्ट केस होंगे, वेंडर आएगा, कुछ खराब बनाएगा, कुछ अच्छा बनाएगा, देन फाइनली अ रोड विल कम अप, राइट? उसमें भी कुछ ऊपर होगा, नीचे होगा, कोई कोर्ट केस लगेगा. सो दैट्स हार्ड वर्क, right? What's the identity politics? एक smart सा statement बोल दो, जो some people get charged and they will, oh my God, he's catering to my identity, right? So people, I think Congress taught this lazy politics to a lot of people, and this governance politics is tough politics because you have to do real hard work for a long time to get the calm pay vote. Yeah.
So how would you summarize the UP model? Because it's after Gujarat model, UP model is the most popular model in India. How would you summarize the UP model for the international audience?
I think UP model is a model of prosperity, and I'll start with an anecdote. In 2022, I wrote a second book on Yogi, The Monk Who Transformed Uttar Pradesh. It was a January of 2022 when I met Yogi ji to gift that book to him. I was going to US to do a 20-day trip, and I went to Harvard, Stanford later. I told him that, sir, I went to, we call him Maharaji. Maharaji, I went to around 50 districts in last 1 year, and to my sense, you are winning the election. He gave a smile, right? And then you are winning, right? He said, let's see, dekhte hain. And he said, I'm saying, okay, but I think you are winning. What will be Yogi 2.0 all about, right? What will be your main focus? Can you imagine? He was between a very hardly contested election. 3 ministers of his left his party a week back. A lot of caste combinations going in his mind. किसको कौन सी सीट जाएगी, कहाँ पर कौन सी रैली हो रही, that's his mind, right? And I asked this question, what will you focus? You know what did he say? I want to make UP a $1 trillion economy.
$1 trillion economy.
Among all this caste calculation, electioneering, campaigning, his focus was $1 trillion economy. I will do whatever it takes to make UP a $1 trillion economy. He won the election again. He was an acting chief minister. You have to take the oath again, right? By the time you are acting chief minister, he was an acting chief minister. His team floated the RFP to get a consulting company to guide them for a $1 trillion economy. He has not taken the oath still. He's in so much hurry, right? The day he takes the oath, he started talking to a lot of companies. 4 months into his second tenure, Deloitte gets appointed as the consulting companies to guide them for the $1 trillion economy. And then he sends multiple teams to almost 17 countries, from Australia to US to Japan to Europe to Middle East, ministers and IS officers both, to get investment proposals from them. right? And then he does the India's biggest investment summit, and where almost 33 lakh crore investment worth promises were signed. And you know how, in a style, he has shown that he has done a drone show where he said investment promises 33 lakh crores. It was shown through drone in the sky. So like doing with style, right? Yeah. So I think that is Yogi model. That and he said, if prosperity will give, I'll get more tax. I can do more affirmative action also. I can give more houses and gases and things for the poor also. But I can't give all the jobs because government anyway have 2 to 3% jobs. Jobs are largely with the private sector. So I will make conditions easy for the private sector to operate so that they will come in plenty. They will have a lot of employees. They will give employment. I will give them conditions to uh, flourish. So I think that's the UP model, and with strong law and order.
Shantanu ji, you mentioned that Yogi ji is aiming for UP to become a $1 trillion economy by 2027. Right now, it stands about 320-ish billion, right?
300. It's almost a 3.5, four time jump.
Yeah. So for UP to become a $1 trillion economy, it has to grow at a staggering rate of 25,
25 to
26%.
30%. Yeah.
But right now, it's growing at only 9%.
9 to
Why is
10%.
there such a big gap?
See, when Yogi Adityanath became the chief minister, he inherited a very dilapidated UP,
Okay.
right? Where assembly was full with people who are in jail today, right? The mafias was running the state. Every district had a organized crime mafia. When I say organized crime, meaning he or she has a big team. He's a land mafia or a sand mafia or a car chori mafia or a kidnapping mafia or exam cheating mafia or a land grabbing mafia. So this was the industry of UP, right? Nobody wanted to come to UP. Even the Manchester of the East, Kanpur, was only end up making gutka, right? No big businesses were coming up, right? This was it was caste politics, cheating politics. If UP was become a bad brand, if I'm from UP, which I am, if I go outside in a Maharashtra or a Tamil Nadu or a Bangalore, they'll say, oh my God, you're from UP, I can't trust you. I can't even trust your degree. You must have faked the degree, right? You must have done some crimes, right? It was a difficult to even get a job if I'm a UP, right? That was a brand. That's why when I wrote my second book, I wrote how UP wala bhaiya image became a badge of honor by Yogi Adityanath's work, right? So that's why it's a hard work. So he has taken a lofty target to shake a system which was in deep slumber. See, it is the same machinery, the same set of IS officers. He's not recruited some 2000 new IS officers, right? Though he got a lot of consulting companies in New Age. Now, if you go to every office, you'll find a ENY or a Deloitte or a consulting company working very closely with laptop. He himself is very tech savvy. He will show you graphs and data and dashboards and QR codes. He himself very tech savvy. In a saffron robe, looks very with his goggles up, his iPad, and he talking dashboards and data. So he gave a lofty target. Maybe UP may not be able to achieve. UP may touch maybe 70 million, maybe 800 million, but that's his target. That if I aim high, I'll push my team up. And his aim is Narendra Modi is saying 5 trillion economy, and I'm contributing 17% of the population. I'm is Uttar Pradesh. I should contribute decently to the India's GDP. So if Narendra Modi is saying 5 trillion, I will contribute at least 1 trillion. So that's the gesture he's putting, and he's pushing his whole team towards a very high target.
Shantanu ji, Modi ji often talks about revdi politics, freebie politics, whereby politicians give out loan waivers just to please the people so that they can eventually win the vote banks. But my question is, while on one side BJP blames other parties for freebies, in 2017 I remember when Yogi ji became the chief minister, the first thing he did is give away
Loan waiver,
37,000 crores worth of loan
which was
waivers.
the election promise also.
Yeah, when UP had 70,000 crores in debt.
Yeah.
So, two questions over here. First question, can we also say that Yogi ji also won the elections based on this promise, which was people pleasing, which does not fit with the philosophy of Modi ji? And secondly, when the state is in such heavy debt and you said that the system was broken, why give away 37,000 crores worth of loan waivers?
Again, a very smart question. So you rightly said Narendra Modi recently commented about the reverie politics. Reverie politics means हम कहते हैं रेवड़ी बांट दी, right? You gave a dole to your voter and your voter voted not because of work or identity. Voter voted कि मुझे कुछ मिलने वाला है, right? This was a typical Congress politics for years. And when you are the new entrant in any game, you have to abide by some rules of the game. You have to become a Sachin Tendulkar of the game to change the rules of the game, right? So some rules means you have to do, and anyway, India is coming out of such poor large masses of poor, you have to do some affirmative actions. Safety net, which we call it, right? You have to do pro-poor policies, which is like loan waiver to subsidies to free houses to free rations, right? And constantly also trying to pull them up, right? So you can't. It seems. I'll give you a parallel example. I was talking to a doctor who was an expert for de-addiction. So let's say someone is on drugs and he or she goes to a de-addiction camp. His kind of drug doses are not become zero the day one. He will die, right? You have to gradually decrease it. So this dope called subsidies, this dope called loan waivers, right? Which were a very easy politics for Congress, right? That's one. For your politics, you have to give this dope, right? And also because anyway the people are poorest of the poor, and the business environment is hardly any. They will not get any jobs. They are largely into farming, and that too in a very unscientific farming where you need only 20% of the population. Your 50% of population is only contributing 20% of the GDP. I'm sure you know the numbers, right? 50%, 60% people in farming, but the farming is hardly 15, 20% of the contributor to GDP. So it means a very inefficient system, right? So first of all, the legacy system, right? You have to still, so 2017, you're right. The loan waiver was one of the promises, but loan waiver was not only the promise. There were a lot of other industry promise, expressway promise, Ram Mandir promise. There are multiple promises. A loan waiver was one of the promises. The interesting part was that within the first 6 months, Yogi government executed the promise. Versus in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, when Congress government came and they did a similar promise, for their whole tenure, they never executed the promise. And because of that, when next time Narendra Modi or Yogi Adityanath or any BJP government will do a such similar promise, they'll say, इन्होंने promise कराया तो करेंगे, and इन्होंने promise कराया तो नहीं करेंगे, which is my factor D. That who is making the promise, right? किसके मुंह से निकल रहा है? Who is a habitual liar and who is following his promise? So I think that is that. Yeah.
But don't you think that's bad for the economy? 37,000 crores.
You're right. It's bad for the economics. It's bad for the immediate economics. So what you have to do, because that's like a constraint, you have to do it because that's your politics also, and the people are really so poor, right? But constantly make sure in the next election, I need not do that. So I will make sure the ease of doing business is also smoothened in the next 5 years. By the time my next tenure come, my lot of people are engaged in meaningful employment.
So that you don't have to give out farm loan waivers.
So yeah, you need not give the farm loans. Every district I'll create an ODOP, and thanks to you created an amazing video on ODOP that I will identify the Tala of Laligarh, I will identify the Chudi of Firozabad, I'll identify the Banarsi Sari of Banaras, I will identify the Kala Namak rice of Eastern UP, I will identify the sports equipment of Meerut, and I'll call them the one district of that one product and give them the market, give them the training, make them travel to outside India, make them travel to Delhi, make them travel to the best of the exhibitions of the world, give them subsidy to set up online shops, right? So I'll keep doing this so that they need not go out, and but these are hard work. You have to do this for a couple of years to stop the subsidies. So you don't stop the subsidies still, so that it's almost like that. So let's say if I see a bleeding person out of an accident on the road, what will be my first step? I'll take him to the hospital. I'll not say, oh, I have to remove this road turn, I have to improve my road and traffic, and I have to put a traffic sign. I'll not do that, right? That'll be my post facto for sure. I'll do a post facto analysis of that accident, but I have to take them to hospital. So that subsidy is at hospital. But eventually, I'll make sure that the turn, which has a very sharp turn, should be improved. I have to make sure the speed, the helmet rules are properly followed. The next time the number of accident reduces. So someone like Yogi Adityanath and Narendra Modi is doing both parallelly, so that they have to give away subsidy at some point. Yeah.
So you're saying that you can't give a knee-jerk reaction to everything.
Exactly.
It's not practical to not give out farm loan waivers, but if the farm loan waivers continue to happen election after election,
yeah,
then
then
it
it's a
is
serious problem. Then it's a serious
which
problem.
means the people need to keep in mind that if Yogi ji gives out farm loan waivers in the next election, which means there is a sign that the success is not that high.
Success is not that high.
Shantanu ji, I want to bring your attention to one more thing that Yogi ji mentioned, and that is written in your book also. He said that he will allow industries to come up only if they reserve 90% jobs for the locals.
Right.
Now, this is quite harsh and again does not fit in with the philosophy of the BJP of being inclusive. Because I remember when the Maharashtrians said the same thing about the UP Bhaiyas and the Biharis,
Right.
everybody was extremely angry. But then Yogi ji goes on to say the same thing that I want to make this exclusive with only my local people, which means denying opportunities for other people who also identify themselves as Indians.
Right. To my understanding, this was indeed it was his initial push, but he never made a statutory law around it. Right? It was almost like a, a strong advice or a suggestion. It becomes problematic when you make a statutory law that I will count your head count. I'll see their which state domicile they have. I think that never happened. So it was like because local employment was very low, right? And first of all, there was hardly any industry in interiors of UP. It was a very West UP led development or a very Noida led development, right? In previous government, whatever little development happened, it happened in West UP and Noida, right? So that's why he said, if you come to a Kanpur, if you come to a Gorakhpur, try to involve as many local people. So that was a strong advice. That was a suggestion rather than a statutory law.
So you're saying it was not implemented?
It was not implemented. Yeah,
Okay,
it was
okay.
never a statutory law.
Santoshji, I have one more critical question. You wrote this book, 101 Reasons to Vote for Modi ji. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic book. I actually read it. But critics actually point out, and this is coming from people who may not consider Modi ji to be the best candidate.
Mhm.
They point out three very strong reasons as to why we should not vote for Modi ji.
Mhm.
Okay, and I want to understand what is your perspective on this.
If I can check you there,
Mm.
I have written 101 reasons to vote for Modi, and you're only countering with 3 reasons not to vote for Modi. So it's 3
Okay.
versus 101 anyways.
Okay, these are three reasons that I found logically true. That is the reason why I think I should bring this up. Reason number one, Manipur was burning and multi-million dollar businesses have quit Manipur forever, including
Forever we don't know, but right
the
now,
business. I'm saying forever because this office in which we are shooting, this is a very close friend of mine's office, and her father used to run a very big business in Manipur, and now they've quit. They've moved to Guwahati forever, and that's the case with multiple of his friends also. When Manipur was burning, do you believe our actions were enough to tackle the situation? Because during the same time we were talking about stopping the war between Russia and Ukraine, and here we were not able to do enough to save our own people and our own state from burning.
yes. So, will you tell me all the 3 questions, 3
Let's go
reasons?
one by
Okay.
one.
See, so Manipur is a classic case which came in debates. We had multiple debates. Manipur now burning for a difficult reason and for a historical reasons. Those two communities which were fighting, contesting in Manipur, and the visuals came on TV, which were a very heartening visual. Unfortunately, that's a new phenomenon in Manipur. That's happening from quite some time in Manipur, and Manipur burnt multiple times. So I want to take your viewers back in the history. Since the time BJP kind of took control of Northeast, right? Whole of the Northeast is BJP government or NDA government, and thanks to Hemant Biswa, which is kind of controlling, if I'd use the word, for whole of politically controlling whole of Northeast for BJP or for NDA, right? So it's not that everything was hunky dory, nothing happened between those two communities ever. And today, all of a sudden, Narendra Modi rule, these two communities started fighting, right? So, first of all, it's like a clash of civilization from quite immemorial, right? Quite time immemorial in that time, right? The only blame was why Narendra Modi did not speak, but every minister of Narendra Modi was speaking. Every spokesman of Narendra Modi was speaking. The senior ministers were parked in Manipur to make sure what would have been a very long battle got shortened in 3 or 4 months, right? We don't know कि क्या हो जाता. जो हुआ, that is also quite grave. Like in the way those communities fought in past, such rights in Manipur ran for years together. Because those time they were not podcasts like yours, there was no 24/7 TV, they were not Spotify's, we don't know about it, right? So anyone who reads the history of Manipur, I think how it's curtailed, how the rights got shortened this time is marvelous when I talk to the people. But yeah, you're right. In modern times, I think also BJP and the government is also learning, and now they are making like long time pukta fundamental security walls between communities, and it was not a government failure. It was societies, two communities fighting, which has a age old clash of civilization. Now they have to work someone like a, and it is exactly not a government work. It's almost like a community work. Yeah, how I should make sure that these communities get more friendly, right? And I keep hearing that now RSS and Sangh Parivar and a lot of these kind of NGOs and social groups started working between these two communities so that there'll be more sohard, more goodwill among these communities, right? So let's not take this a binary 0-1. These solutions are not 0-1, and think is this way that how these battles in two communities in Manipur happened in past and how they got shortened this time. Yeah.
But why didn't we simply send the army and shut the entire chaos down? Because we have the capacity to do that, right? Why didn't we do that?
See, I'm saying sending army in any conflict is the last resort, right? Because
But here the houses were burning.
I'm coming to that. So when army is sent as a last resort, army is normally used for your country's opponent, not for your local people, right? But again, during riots, armies was sent, and it's always a tough call that shall I use my police to do it or shall I use my army to do it? Because army is like antibiotic, right? If you get a bad throat, will you keep doing gargling and do a long term solution, or take a quick antibiotic, which is not good for your system, right? So it's that kind of that tricky what do you say, trade off, right? I'm saying on hindsight, one can say, oh, army would have been better, or police action would have been better, or making sure that communities coming together would have been better. I'm saying, yeah, it's a tough call. In hindsight, it is easy to say, but again, yeah, in that situation, they say that local police can manage it and will make sure that local communities can come together. That's a long time solution versus sending an army.
Because when I spoke to my friend, she told me that local police had clearly failed.
Right.
There was no way in which things would have gotten better because her father is so attached to their house that he was not willing to move out at all. And him moving out was the last resort. She said, what is now left? Our factory burned, people were unemployed,
Yeah.
businesses were quitting, houses were burning, people were dying, women were being raped.
Yeah.
If this is not the last resort, then what is the last resort?
I'm saying that can be error of judgment, of delay of judgment. That's totally, and people of BJP agree to that. That might be error of judgment, or might be you don't know this solution worked better. That's something hindsight is very easy to comment anything, and also I'm sure people will reflect back. The similar thing happened 10 years back, 20 years back. Every 10 years, this kind of writing happened, and now I think this conflict in Manipur is in public eye. And what I'm keep hearing from the government sources and Sangh sources, now they're trying to find a fundamental solution, and those rights have reduced drastically. Though the incidents are happening, the smaller incidents are happening in Manipur still, and they're trying to find a fundamental solution, a long-term solution, so that army or the police should not get into action anytime in near future.
Okay, cool. So let's come to the second reason. And this is the unemployment of India.
And also,
yeah,
see, frankly speaking, practically speaking, what happens in Manipur will never change a poor voter's performance in a Balia or a Bihar, because they know their lives have changed drastically, right? It might be a narrative for a lot of people in Lutyens Delhi or in High Street Bombay or a Bangalore, right? What happening there through news channels, right? But there, everybody's saying, is my life improving or not, right? Yeah, if such phenomena is rampant in whole of the country, and God forbid that should not happen, and that will not happen in my country, right? I think that's also a connection we should make.
I absolutely agree with you, because if you look at my life has drastically changed because of this government in a lot of ways. Whether that is GST, the corporate tax, or whatever that is, my life is significantly better.
And a small caveat, people are also very forgetful and greedy, right? So Narendra Modi cannot rest on his laurels of this 10 years forever. कि पानी दे तो दिया, घर दे तो दिया, toilet दे तो दिया. Because once you started using toilets for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, that's become the new normal. If you think the GST system is good, that's the new normal. Once a small problem in GST form will annoy you now. कि यार ये फॉर्म में एंट्री क्यों है, वो साइड हर महीने एक बार बंद क्यों जाती है, राइट? दैट बी अ न्यू नॉर्मल. यू विल नॉट बी हैप्पी विद द स्मूथनेस ऑफ जीएसटी नाउ, राइट? दैट्स व्हाई लॉट ऑफ पीपल से यार 101 रीजन तो लिखने क्यों पड़े. एट टाइम्स यू हैव टू रिमाइंड पीपल कि 10 साल पहले घर नहीं था आपके पास. 10 साल पहले यू यूज्ड टू गो टू द बुशेस फॉर द टॉयलेट. 10 साल पहले यू हैव टू कैरी 20 लीटर्स ऑफ वाटर एवरी डे ऑन योर हेड. 10 साल पहले you only have 13 hours of average electricity in India. Today we have 22 hours of direct electricity in India. Today there are 75 small towns where I can fly in and out in a day. मैं शिरडी सुबह जाके शाम को आ सकता हूँ, मैं प्रयाग सुबह जाके शाम को आ सकता हूँ, मैं गोरखपुर सुबह जाके शाम को आ सकता हूँ, from any part of India, right? This was not there 4 years back, 5 years, 10 years back. So I have to keep reminding people, but people also greedy कि ठीक है ये तो हो गया, अब और क्या दे रहा है मोदी, right? So someone like Narendra Modi also has to keep inventing himself कि अब क्या लाऊं, अब तो पानी भी दे दिया, घर भी दे दिया, रोटी कपड़ा मकान दे दिया. So in fact Narendra Modi is talking a very interesting language in this election. He's talking 3 languages. He's saying I'll saturate the schemes. अगर एक गांव में 100 घर हैं और 70 को मिल गया और 30 को नहीं मिला है, पानी, घर, डीबीटी, उनको भी दूंगा मैं. तो सैचुरेटिंग द स्कीम. नहीं तो हो सकता है इसको मिल गया, मेरे को क्यों नहीं मिला, क्या पता कोई इसमें कास्ट कॉम्बिनेशन लगा ले. यू नेवर नो, राइट? अरे मेरे पेपर पूरे नहीं थे इसलिए नहीं मिला मुझे. अरे उसका तो वो कास्ट है, उसको दे दिया मोदी ने, उसको दे दिया, मुझे नहीं दिया, right? So he's saying I'll saturate my schemes. Second, he's saying I'll increase the pie itself. मेरी जो 3 बिलियन की पाई है मैं उसको 5 बिलियन 10 बिलियन 100 मिलियन कर दूंगा. So meaning I'll increase the economy. He is very flamboyantly saying in my third term India will be the third largest economy. So he's increasing the pie of the economy. If the pie of the economy will increase, more infrastructure spent, everybody will get more out of that pie, right? More jobs, more prosperity. And then third thing, which is my conjecture, and I think he will be very hard on corruption within his own party and within outside, and which we're seeing for last 1 year, be it the Delhi arrests, not only Kejriwal arrest, Manish Sisodia and the Sanjay Singh, the Jain, which is they are in jail from last 1 year and no bail from High Court and Supreme Court, right? Hemant Soren, maybe the Benami Act, right? So a lot of fundamental corruption points in India. He may run this government, the third government, on the anti-corruption plank also, which was the movement of Kejriwal, but he never abide by his own movement, right? I think that'll be the plank of his third government, to my understanding.
Very interesting. The second reason why critics point out that people wouldn't vote for Modi ji is unemployment. Now, if you look at the unemployment stats, in 2008, that is during one of the worst times across the world,
2008, you're saying?
2008. During that time, the unemployment rate in India was 5.41%. But in 2024, and this is 3-4 years after COVID, our unemployment rate stands at 6.57%. How do we fix this problem? First of all, why is this a big problem? Because on one side, we're saying that FDI is coming in, we're registering record FDIs, we're registering record tax collection, we are giving away houses, we're giving water, electricity, all of this is done. Why is unemployment, which is one of the most fundamental pillars of the economy, I would say, which is one of the fundamental viruses of the economy, so prevalent?
Yeah. I think, Ganesh, I will answer and handle this question multiple levels. One at the level of data, right? Unemployment numbers comes from various laboratories. One from the private organization like CMIE, and one from the government's own labor department. To one of the cases of Narendra Modi's discredit, that Labor Department of India is still calculating unemployment number in a very old archaic fashion,
Okay.
where a lot of new jobs are not even getting captured.
For example,
I'll come to that. And a lot of new formulations are getting their job captured. I think the problem that even Narendra Modi has to fix in his own government, the capturing the data properly, which their other parts of the government machine is capturing. So if you see the I am Ahmedabad, I forgot, I think I am Ahmedabad and SBI study, they are counting the employment number through the PF data. PF data is a provident fund data. So provident fund is whenever you have your employees more than 20. So as soon as you have the 21st employee, you have to register all of them into a PF provident fund, right? In only last 3 years, there are 4 crore PF registration. In the whole of government, the data is more than 10 to 15 crores, right? And these are formal jobs. And the problem is all around formal job. India is full with informal jobs. If you go down, stall, there'll be a thele wala, a pav bhaji wala, who are also doing fairly good, right? But again, the question is all about formal jobs. So there are crores of formal job through the PF data, but a lot of these are not getting captured in the unemployment numbers, of the labor department itself. They are still running on the old archaic fashions of the surveys, right? Which is not a census survey, which is the service survey, right? That's point number one. Lot of very healthy gig jobs are not getting accounted in the labor data, right?
okay.
In any city, I'm sure, and we, the modern consumers, are the consumers of these gig jobs, right? Gig jobs are your Ola riders, your Uber riders,
Video editors.
your video editors. Video editor is still at least a white collar one who's sitting in an AC office, right? At least I'm saying someone on the road, but having a very decent employment. A Ola person, if he works hard, earning 40,000 rupees, if he's a little lazy, matlab 4-5 घंटे चलाता है, then he's earning 20,000. If I hire a driver full time, I will not pay him 20,000. I will only pay him 15-17,000, right? So Ola rider, but he's working also less, right? So all these Ola riders to Porter, right? All of these Zomato riders to Swiggy riders to what are the quick delivery things, right? So this is a huge which are informal, formal, right? These are not getting captured, right? So I'm sure a new technique of calculating them, right, will be a far more, and someone should come up with a far more genius number to calculate India's employment numbers, right? And categorizing them into various categories. Intuitively, when India's infrastructure spend is rising, intuitively, when India's number of airports are rising, intuitively, when India's expressways are all time high, in previous government, it was 10 kilometers per day. In the Gadkari's time, I'll give the credit more to Gadkari than Modi in this case, right? And also Modi to select someone like Gadkari, select someone like Piyush Goyal, someone like Yogi Adityanath in UP, right? Or select someone like Fadnavis in Maharashtra, right? Which are very infrastructure focused people, right? So now when we are making 40 kilometers per day road, who is making the road? Not you and me, right? There'll be for sure 4 times extra workforce, 4 times extra engineers, 4 times extra charcoal bot, 4 times extra cement bot, saria bot, right? That's not getting captured in a lot of machinery. So I think some new data analyst geeks should work out smart numbers so that all this unemployment data or employment data should get captured very smartly. I think that'll be my answer to your question.
And more importantly, when these stats are put out, it is also important to put out the methodology of
Methodology,
calculating these
which
stats, right?
which is never coming from the government side, even from the private side also.
Very interesting. So now I want to bring your attention to the third reason,
Third reason.
which is the manufacturing dream of India,
Mhm.
which on paper has failed because in 2010, manufacturing was 17% of our GDP. By 2022, it was expected to be 25%, but it has decreased to 13%.
Right.
This is largely because Make in India has not been as successful as we thought it to be. One of the reasons being COVID.
Yeah.
But the other reasons that I studied are also land acquisition problems. There is no single window clearance system which we envision to bring, but we are too late for that. Number three is Vietnam is offering much better import duties as compared to India. Bangladesh is much better suited for textile industry than India. So our real rival is not China, it is Vietnam, Bangladesh, and all the other Asian countries, as compared to whom we are not doing a good job. So this is my analysis. But according to you, number one, why did Make in India fail?
I'm saying I'm not agreeing to that making India is failing.
Okay, you don't agree
Yeah,
Make
I
in
don't
India
agree to
failed.
making India
Okay.
failing. But your point is right that the percentage of manufacturing contribution in India GDP should be higher, right? Uh, any superpower which India is trying to become or any super economy cannot be based on services only. We are largely contributed through services, which is more than 50% plus, and agriculture should be more efficient and manufacturing every sector. And now we have to see the basket of manufacturing, right? Which is the hardcore engineering manufacturing, and then the tech manufacturing to mobile phone manufacturing to now we are talking about semiconductor manufacturing in India to chip manufacturing in India. Every sector, I think if we see sectoral manufacturing and see the increase in that, that'll be a far more ingenious and a genuine data rather than a number which is coming out of post-COVID world, a post-Ukraine war world, right? So that's why these numbers which are coming in 2024 are a product of lot of a distressed world, right? So that's point number one. If we see sector-wise data, you will find that how many companies which were hardly under 10 were manufacturing mobile phones in India, and then now over 100 which were making mobile phones in India. Now, even a iPhone is trying to make India not only for Indian customers but also for export, which was China. Now, even a Samsung display, when it get displaced from China, comes to a Noida thanks to someone like a Narendra Modi government inviting them and someone like Yogi Adityanath catching that offer, right? Also, lot of these PLA schemes, the performance link schemes, which are making even the defense equipment manufacturing very promising in India. But the problem is that a lot of these fundamental changes are like Ayurveda, right? Like versus the English medicine, which shows result in long time. And that's why we have seen during the first tenure of the UPA government, 2004 to 2009, they fared very good in a lot of parameters. But those were largely the fallout of the good policies of the Atal government, right? In the second term, they did not fare well, right? So a lot of this manufacturing scheme, which Narendra Modi also started more in the 2019 term rather than the first term, right? They will start bearing fruits. But now, and Indian bureaucracy, Indian system, the way the system is, which Narendra Modi keeps saying, इन्हीं फाइलों के द्वारा मैं इंडिया को बढ़ा रहा हूँ, right? So ease of doing business ranking, which is 150, and now we are in top 50. I think World Bank has stopped counting that ranking now, so we don't know what is the India's exact status today. We only know informal sources. Our ratings from Moody's to various other indicators keep increasing. Even in a very distressed world, we are one of the few large economies which are growing with 6 to 7% and good ratings from Moody's to international exchanges to IMF, everyone, right? So, to my understanding, these are changes which will give you gratification in long term, and I'm not saying 20, 30 years, right? In third term, that's why the third term of Narendra Modi is far more consequential, and hopefully we will not have a major world calamity like a corona or a world war where you have to adjust lot of levers. So yeah, I think that'll be my response, that in third term you'll see a lot of these fundamental changes of Make in India, in defense sector, in chip making sector, in food processing center, in food processing sector, in mobile tech manufacturing. We are a tech services giant, but very, very, very meek on the manufacturing of mobile. In third term, we will see the effect of all those policies far more in third and the fourth term.
Because I completely agree with you when it comes to mobile phones. We've done a phenomenal job. But when we actually analyzed how successful Make in India has been with other sectors, it was not as promising as the mobile sector. And critics often point out that we're using one good case study as a marketing gimmick to tell people that Make in India is succeeding, because this number, that is 25% target, this was given by the government itself.
I'm
So
sure.
it is their own benchmark that they're not able to match. And it's okay even if the number is stable, but when the number is coming down, that is what is
Yeah,
more
for
concerning.
sure. I'm saying anything in 2024, we should read it with a leakages of Corona, with the leakages of Ukraine war. That's for sure. Even you are around that the previous number. So now I think the term is: Are you back to the business of the post-COVID era? Right. First of all, you have to come up. I think one is that. I lost a very interesting thought which is coming up. Hopefully, it'll come up.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the concluding statement that I need from you is, from 2024 to 2029, what does the Modi government have to do better, or what does the Modi government have to improve upon so that we can have a better India in 2030? What would your comment be like?
I think I'll be divide Ganesh in this question in two parts. That what should be the focus. I'm like, my pay grade is too less to recommend someone like Narendra Modi what to do. But if I attempt, I'll divide into two parts. Right. One is the growth story of India, and one is the cultural story of India. Growth story of India. India is already on a good runway now, with ease of doing business, with amazing airports, with amazing infrastructure, with very decent, robust economy, with systems like GST. Right. India is in a good set of stage. Take the advantage of this amazing takeoff that we have to have the advantage in the last 10 years, and go into multiple sectors very quickly, which China did, right? In 1978, 79, right? They started, and within the next 20 years, they were the manufacturing hub for multiple things, even service hub for a lot of things, right? So we are in an amazing takeoff point. Now, which can bifurcate into industries like chip making, to semiconductors, to hardcore manufacturing, to medical equipment manufacturing, right? That's being one, right? Which we get the confidence that when Narendra Modi keeps saying that in my third term I'll be the third largest economy, that's I'll take the confidence from there. On the cultural side, it's very interesting. You will hear that a lot of hardcore Modi fans will sometimes say that Narendra Modi has not done enough for the Hindu side, which is like a very interesting criticism, right? Though you will see him going to a Ayodhya temple and doing the Pran Pratishtha, he is giving a Gita to Barack Obama. He's working towards the Kashi corridor, right? But two, three fundamental topics are still stuck. Someone like the temple control. You know that all the mosques in India are controlled by the Waqf board. All the churches are managed by a Catholic organizations in near Golghar in Delhi. But most of the big large temples are largely managed by the respective state governments. Even the revenue comes from, like Tirupati, which is a almost 1,000 crore rupees industry, if I can use the word industry, right? The revenue goes to the government and
Oh,
to the endowment department, and they use it for whatever they want to use, right? So Hindus want, when Hindu money for the Hindu cause. So temple should roll back. The temple revenue should roll back to community, right? So the temple control should be given back to the community, which was taken away from the community in the British time. But that has come up in Odisha, in parts of Uttarakhand, here and there. But there should be a blanket law, right? That's one. Some very draconian laws like Places of Worship Act, right, should be like removed, amended, right? Places of Worship Act technically says, apart from Ayodhya, If any temple is broken and mosque being made, you can't do anything about it.
Really?
You can't. Yeah, that's places of worship act, which is almost a Muslim appeasement act made by Congress during Narasimha Rao government, right? कि अयोध्या तक ठीक है, बाकी किसी टेम्पल को टच नहीं कर सकते. So what is the status quo of any religious place in 1947? The status quo should remain, even if there's a clear evidence. Even if औरंगजेब्स own biography says कि मैंने वो टेम्पल तोड़ के मस्जिद बनाई है, मैंने उस टेम्पल की मूर्तियों को अपनी मस्जिद की सीढ़ियों में लगा दिया. It's very clear. Even the Islamic scholars say this. They say no, but temple of worship act है, आप कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. So such very stupid and draconian laws should be removed. Last thing which I'm already seeing the symptoms of, which is the what kind of history our children are reading in college and school, which we talked about in NEP and Indian knowledge system, right? There can be a minority Muslim school, there can be a minority Christian school with government funding, but there can only be a Hindu school with government funding. Ramayana Mahabharata cannot be cannot be taught in a government funded school, but a Bible and a Quran can be taught in a government funded or partially government funded schools, right? So these lacunas should go, right? I think on the cultural side, and the economic side. And I'm sure then I think the next 5 years will be fruitful. Yeah, which I see a very bright light towards. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. I will tell you why this podcast was very special for me. Okay, number one, I could ask you very critical questions.
Mhm.
Number two, you are very open about everything.
Mhm.
And number three, you have lots of data. So that gives people like me the
Mhm.
opportunity to ask you those questions that
Lovely.
mainstream media is either not asking the politicians or is
Mhm.
not able to ask the politicians.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for being so open. I
Mhm.
really appreciate that. And do you have any feedback for us? How did
I
you
think
find this
I think
experience to be?
this must be the longest podcast I have ever recorded. I don't know how much of this will go live. Maybe hopefully most of it, right? So I think that's all. I'm a dry throat. Let me sip some water.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the longest podcast I've ever recorded and the most detailed postcard. I hope you will find audience for such detailed analysis. Otherwise, people will normally go for a very juicy, tasty, last night Twitter trending topic, which you have refrained from. So I know how you avoided that temptation to not ask about a Kejriwal arrest or a Mukhtar Ansari being dead or electoral bonds, right? So that's very rarely people talk about go to the grassroots. We used to go to the fishbone analysis. So I'm saying kudos to that. And if your audience is watching such long format, detailed, so-called little boring videos, kudos to such audience.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.